Hello, my friend. I want to say something to you today that might feel a little uncomfortable at first, but I promise you, by the end of this episode, it will completely change the way you think about learning English. Here it is. The more you study English, the worse your speaking can become. Now, I know what you are thinking. That makes no sense. How can studying make me worse? Stay with me, because this is not a theory. This is something that happens to millions of English learners all over the world, every single day. And it is happening to you right now. Even if you do not realize it, you have studied vocabulary lists. You have memorized grammar rules. You have watched videos, read textbooks, maybe even taken online courses. And yet, when someone stands in front of you and asks you a simple question in English, something breaks down. The words disappear. The sentences collapse. And the silence grows. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly why that happens. And more importantly, I am going to show you what to do instead. Because the answer is not more studying. The answer is something most English teachers never talk about. Let me ask you something honest. Think about the last time you studied English. Maybe you opened an app on your phone. Maybe you watched a grammar lesson on YouTube. Maybe you read an English article and looked up new words. After that session, how did you feel? Probably good, right? You felt productive. You felt like you were improving. You told yourself, I am getting better. I am learning. And in that moment, you believed it. Now think about the last time someone spoke to you in English. A foreigner on the street, a colleague in a meeting, a person at a hotel or a shop. How did that feel? Different, wasn't it? Suddenly, everything you studied seemed to disappear, like it was never there. And here is the question that stays with you after moments like that. I studied so much, so why can I not speak? That question carries a lot of pain. I know it does. Because the answer feels like it should be simple. Study more. Get better. But that is exactly the trap. And today we are going to break out of it. Here is the truth that changed everything for me. Studying English and speaking English are two completely different skills. They use different parts of your brain. They require different kinds of practice. And most importantly, one does not automatically lead to the other. Think about it this way. Imagine a person who reads every book ever written about swimming. They study the technique. They memorize the arm movements. They understand water resistance and breathing patterns. Now put them in a pool. What happens? They sink, because knowing how to swim and actually swimming are two completely different things. And English is the same. You can know every grammar rule in the book. You can have a vocabulary of 10,000 words. But if you have never trained your mouth, your tongue, your lips, your breathing to form English sentences in real time, you will sink the moment someone speaks to you. That is not your fault. That is just how the brain works. And once you understand this, everything changes. I want to tell you about someone. His name is Arjun. Arjun is 29 years old. He lives in a big city. He has been studying English since he was 10 years old. That is almost 20 years. Think about that. 20 years of English classes. 20 years of grammar exercises. 20 years of vocabulary tests. And Arjun is smart. He passed every exam. He scored well on every test. His written English is actually quite good. He can write a professional email. He can understand an English movie with subtitles. He can even read English news articles without a dictionary. On paper, Arjun knows English. But here's the problem. Arjun got a job interview, an international company, a real opportunity. The interview was in English. Arjun prepared for 2 full weeks. He studied interview vocabulary. He memorized answers to common questions. He practiced in his head again and again. The morning of the interview, he felt ready. He sat down across from the interviewer, a calm, friendly woman. She smiled and said, "Hi Arjun, tell me a little about yourself." Arjun opened his mouth, and his mind went completely blank. Not because he didn't know the words. He had prepared those words for 2 weeks. But in that moment, under pressure, his brain could not access them fast enough. He started slowly. He used simple words. He stopped in the middle of sentences. He said many times. He could see the interviewer waiting patiently. But the more he felt her waiting, the harder it became to speak. After the interview, Arjun sat in his car. For a long time, he didn't feel stupid. He felt confused. He kept asking himself the same question. I know this language. I studied it for 20 years. So why could I not speak it? That night, Arjun did something different. Instead of opening his grammar book again, he just sat quietly. And he thought about how many hours he had spent reading about English, studying English, analyzing English. And then he thought about how many hours he had spent actually speaking English out loud in real conversations under real pressure. The answer was almost 0. And in that moment, Arjun understood something that 20 years of studying had never taught him. English is not a subject. English is a skill. And the skills are not built in classrooms. They are built through repetition, through doing, through failing and trying again. That night, Arjun stopped studying. And he started something completely different. Something that changed his English more in 60 days than 20 years of studying ever had. I will tell you what he did in just a moment. First, let me explain something important. Why does studying too much actually hurt your speaking? There are 3 reasons. And once you understand all 3, you will never think about English learning the same way again. Reason 1, the overcrowded brain. When you study grammar rules intensively, your brain starts doing something dangerous. It starts checking. Every time you want to say something in English, before the words even leave your mouth, your brain runs a grammar check. Is this sentence past tense or present tense? Should I use are or the here? Is this verb form correct? And while your brain is busy checking, the conversation moves forward without you. Native speakers do not do this. Not because they know no grammar, but because they learn English through speaking, not through studying grammar rules. Their English is stored differently in the brain. It is stored as patterns, as muscle memory, as automatic responses. When you ask a native speaker a question, their answer comes before they think about grammar. The grammar is already built into the pattern. But when you study grammar as a set of rules, you store it in the wrong part of your brain. The part that thinks, the part that analyzes, the part that is too slow for real conversation. Think about driving a car. When you first learn to drive, you think about everything. Hands at 10 and 2. Check the mirror. How much pressure on the brake? Signal before turning. It is exhausting. It is slow. Every movement is a conscious decision. But after months of driving, you stop thinking. You just drive. Your hands move by themselves. Your foot knows the brake. Your eyes naturally check the mirror. That is what fluency feels like. English flowing without thinking, without checking, without analyzing. And you only get there through practice, not through more studying. Reason 2, the confidence trap. Here is something very interesting about studying. Every time you finish a study session, you feel confident. I learned 5 new words today. I am improving. I understand the present perfect now. I am getting better. That feeling of confidence is real. But it is the wrong kind of confidence. It is the confidence of someone who knows about English, not the confidence of someone who can use English. And here is the dangerous part. That false confidence makes you avoid real practice. Because real practice is uncomfortable. Real practice means speaking to a real person. Real practice means making real mistakes. Real practice means the possibility of real embarrassment. But studying is safe. Studying is comfortable. Studying feels like progress without the risk of failure. So you keep studying day after day, month after month, feeling like you are improving, while your speaking stays exactly the same. This is the confidence trap. And millions of English learners are stuck inside it right now. Not because they are lazy, not because they are not trying hard enough, but because nobody ever told them that the comfort of studying is the enemy of the discomfort of speaking. And you can only grow in the discomfort. And I want to say it again, because it is that important. Your mouth is a muscle. Your tongue, your lips, your jaw, your breathing, all muscles. And like every muscle in your body, they only get stronger through use. When you study English, you exercise your brain, but your mouth stays silent. Your tongue does not practice the sounds. Your lips do not practice the shapes. Your breathing does not practice the rhythm of English sentences. So when the moment comes to speak, your brain knows what to say, but your body does not know how to say it. The words exist in your head, but they cannot travel to your mouth fast enough. This is why some people with basic vocabulary speak more fluently than people with advanced vocabulary, because they train their mouth, not just their mind. They spoke simple sentences every day, slowly building the muscle, slowly building the speed, slowly building the confidence that only comes from actually doing the thing. Now, let me tell you what Arjun did. The night he realized he had spent 20 years studying English, but never really speaking it, he made a decision. He decided to stop. Not forever, not completely, but he decided to stop adding more information into a system that was already full. And instead, he decided to use what he already had. Every evening, after work, after dinner, he took his phone, he pressed record, and he talked for 10 minutes. Sometimes he talked about his day, sometimes about a problem at work. Sometimes he described a movie he watched. Sometimes he just talked about what he could see from his window. Simple things, real things, his things. The first week was painful. He stopped constantly. He forgot simple words. He repeated the same phrases again and again. He did not sound like the English he had studied, but he kept going. Day 8, day 15, day 22. Something small started shifting. His sentences got a little longer. His pauses got a little shorter. His voice sounded a little more natural. By day 40, something happened that surprised even him. He was talking to a colleague in English, and he realized halfway through the conversation that he was not thinking about grammar. He was not checking his tenses. He was not searching for words. He was just talking, not perfectly, but freely. And free English, even imperfect English, is worth 1,000 the 3 shifts. So, what does this mean for you? It means 3 things need to shift. Starting today. Shift 1 from input to output. Most English learners spend 90% of their time on input. Reading, listening, studying, and only 10% on output. Actually speaking. Actually producing English. Flip that ratio. Not completely. Input still matters. But your output needs to increase dramatically. Every day speak. Even alone. Even for 5 minutes. Output is where the real learning happens. Shift 2 from perfect to continuous. The goal is not a perfect sentence. The goal is a sentence that keeps moving. When you get stuck on a word, go around it. Use a simpler word. Describe it another way. Keep the sentence alive. Because stopping to find the perfect word is exactly what breaks fluency. Real speakers keep moving. They find another path. They say it differently. And their listener follows them. Shift 3 from classroom to life. English is not something you study for 1 hour and then put away. It is something you carry with you. When you cook, think the steps in English. When you walk, describe what you see in English. When you feel something, name that feeling in English. Make your daily life your English classroom. Because that is where fluency lives. Not in textbooks. In your actual, real, everyday moments. Section 6. The emotional peak. I want to stop here for a moment and say something directly to you. If you have been studying English for years and you still feel stuck, please hear this. You are not stuck because you are not smart enough. You are not stuck because your language is too different. You are not stuck because you started too late. You are stuck because you were given the wrong tool for the job. You were handed a textbook when what you needed was a conversation. You were taught to analyze English when what you needed was to feel it. You were trained to be a student of English when what you needed to become was a speaker of English. Those are 2 very different things. And the moment you make that shift from student to speaker, everything begins to change. Not overnight, but steadily. Surely, 1 sentence at a time. Think about Arjun. 60 days after that painful interview, he got another one. Same type of company. Same kind of role. This time, he walked in differently. Not because his grammar was perfect, not because he had learned more vocabulary, but because for 60 days he had trained his mouth to move in English. He had trained his brain to stop checking and start trusting. He had given himself permission to speak imperfectly and discover that imperfect speaking opens more doors than perfect silence ever will. He got the job. Section 7. The window. Let me show you something. Imagine 60 days from today, you have stopped adding more information. You have started using what you already have. Every morning, 10 minutes of speaking out loud. Every day, small English moments in your real life. Every evening, recording your voice, listening back, noticing where you stop and trying again tomorrow. What changes? In the first 2 weeks, your sentences start to feel more connected, less stopping, more flowing. By week 4, you catch yourself thinking in English during moments you did not expect, in the shower, on the way to work, in the quiet before you sleep. By week 8, someone speaks to you in English, and something is different. You do not freeze. Your mouth opens, and words come. Not perfect words, but your words, moving freely, moving forward. And for the first time in maybe years, you feel it. That thing you have been chasing through all those grammar books and the vocabulary lists and online courses. Confidence, real confidence, the kind that does not come from knowing more, the kind that only comes from doing more. That is 60 days away.
I want to leave you with this. You already know enough English to begin. Not enough to be perfect. Not enough to impress everyone. But enough to start. And starting is the only thing that matters right now. Tonight, do not open a grammar book. Do not study a vocabulary list. Do not watch another lesson. Instead, find 5 quiet minutes. Go somewhere alone. Open your mouth and speak about anything, about this episode, about your day, about something you are worried about something that made you smile. Just speak in English out loud. Your mouth needs the practice more than your brain needs the information. Give it what it needs, starting tonight. You are not someone who cannot speak English. You are someone who has been preparing to speak English for a very long time. And today, the preparation ends and the speaking begins. Thank you for listening to Pure English Podcast. If this episode opened something in you, share it with one person who is stuck in the same studying loop, because they need to hear this too. I will see you in the next episode.